Speaking of guys who have upside and potential, Bruins development camp's been this week. Been great. Everybody's back. It's so hot outside, so it's nice and cool indoors. That's my biggest takeaway from this week. I can't hate that. And it's always fun during development camp because you see, the thoughts on different prospects. This one's ready to make the Bruins. This one's you ready to go to make a push for Boston, this and that. And there's no real blue chip prospect. I don't think there's any, can't miss prospect in this pool. There's good ones, and we'll get to them. But it begs the question of, are there any prospects from this camp that crack the team next year?
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably unlikely, or a lot maybe has to go either really good for these individual players or a lot wrong for the state of the NHL roster.
Really bad the other way.
I mean, I think the two most obvious ones, right, are Fabian Lysell and Lysell and Lohrei. And again, if you're expecting them to push for a spot right out of camp, I just find that unlikely. Like Lysell, high-end skill. I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about him, especially, you look at the state of the Bruins prospect kind of pipeline, but he's a guy that if he hits at the NHL level could be a legit top six winger, right? It's not to say that I think he's a 40 goal scorer, but I think he can be a very productive player at the NHL level. But still, this is a guy who kind of hit a wall last year in the AHL, kind of needed a bit of a fresh start. So barring him just going nuclear, during preseason play, I think you start him in Providence, have him build his game up some more. And if you get to November and he's got 20 points in 21 games or something like that, then maybe you reevaluate, because he's a guy that I'm sure the Bruins would like to make a push. Like, I think you look at top six now and just looking on the wing, you have to imagine, right, like Marchand, DeBrusk, first line, maybe second line, like Van Riemsdyk, Pasternak. If you have a point in the season where a guy like Lysell can push and all of a sudden you're able to put him in the top six and you put DeBrusk back at left wing and all of a sudden you've got, a lot of talent there in that top six. So he's a guy that definitely is worth watching. I think he's been really good during dev camp. Was slowed down. He took a cheap shot late in the season, ended his first Providence year early. Still recovering from it. On Thursday was the first day he actually didn't have a non-contact jersey on. So a little bit of a slower ramp up, but you can see the skill, like the skating is there, playmaking, all that stuff. So again, don't think he'll crack the team out of camp, but someone that I think could be in line for a promotion if he really has a strong start to his second year. Then Lohrei, same thing, right? Like, as of right now, the Bruins defense is set, but if you're moving on from a guy to make more cap room, Lohrei is a guy that if he can push and all of a sudden be a third pairing guy out of the gate, kind of cut his teeth in that role, not cost a lot of money. And if he's a guy that I think we've talked about before, if he hits, he's either at his lowest level is maybe like a sheltered but really good playmaking defenseman that you put in your third D pair. If he hits, he's like, I don't know, like John Carlson, right? Like in terms of like 6'4", big body, not necessarily going to be like a wrecking ball out there, but, just having someone who's takes up that much space, can protect the net, while also, move the puck with authority, generate shots from blue line. There's so much value in just having those kind of, two-way players on your blue line. So, but again, the guy that really didn't play all that much in Providence last year, finished up his sophomore year at Ohio State. So, barring, again, him really making a sustained push and other moves kind of falling where they might be in the Bruins decor, don't see him starting the year. Still, 6'4", needs to put on some weight, needs to, I think, adjust the AHL level. But those are the two guys that I think, if all goes right, would not put past like them checking them out in November, December if they get to the point and they're playing at a high level.
I go back to this. We say this every year with these prospects. There is nothing wrong with extra time in Providence. Nothing. You don't want to rush these guys. And Lohrei is the interesting one because I think, Lysell spent the entire last season in Providence. Lohrei was, I think, there for 5 games after Ohio State bowed out. So again, like, he needs a season to adjust. And as you said, if he's tearing it up and it's December or January and it's like, oh, he deserves a look, like, then that's legitimate. But give him the year to adjust to Providence. I think that's a very good thing. It's a different style, like a pro game, more physicality, definitely faster. There's nothing wrong with that. Lysell's interesting also just because You just look at it, as you said, like you'd think, oh, maybe, the second year he jumps up to Boston. It wouldn't surprise me with this lineup, as you said, to see him crack it at some point throughout the season, come up for a couple of games and sort of see what you have in him, get his feet wet at the NHL level. Because you said, like, if they do go that route, if they went Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak and said, maybe, we could keep Coyle on third line, put Lysell on the second as the right wing, or, we could put, Coyle in the second and put Lysell on the third. Like, there are options there they have. You don't need to push it. We both agree on, so far through 4 days, it's been drills, some battle drills, some one-on-ones and 2v2s and things like that. But the real test is going to be Friday, the day you're listening to this, as a scrimmage at 10 a.m. That's where you see guys. That's where, you really evaluate and how they play in games. So I try to not do a lot of like, oh, he was good in this edge work drill. He's ready for the NHL. And you see that a lot with some of these guys. But Lohrei is a very good skater for being 6'4", like really strong skater. And, if that can translate, if those decisions can become quicker at the AHL and NHL level with the puck and the physicality element, if he settles into that, like you have I'm not going to say franchise defenseman, but you have a steady NHL defenseman potentially. And I think that's a very good thing. I don't think, you don't need him to be Charlie McAvoy or Hampus Lindholm. You just need him to be steady and stable. And I think he has the tools that could potentially kind of lead to that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you look at it, not even this year, but look at next season when you're kind of building a foundation, you got a lot of guys signed long-term. We've already talked about it. You got a lot of cap space that you can really spend and retool. If you don't have to focus on your decor and your top four for the next 4 or 5 years is Lohrei, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, a lot of heft there. And again, you can look at Brendan Carlo and these guys and Mason Lohrei maybe aren't bruisers, but in terms of just being bigger bodies, if that's your top four and you got four guys who can do a little bit of everything, Carlo's great on the PK, still at a really young age. Lindholm's the oldest one. By next year will be what, 30, 31? Like he's still in the prime of his time, of his career. Like if you're building towards something, you've got a pretty good foundation to start with just on that blue line.
Conor, you got to blow it up, blow the whole thing up. Who wants that?
Yes,
Who
exactly.
Wants that?
So yeah, I think you look long term beyond just this year. If you can get guys like Lohrei and Lysell into games, have them get used to the NHL level, and especially next year. Like that's why I think we mentioned on the last podcast, like this upcoming season should at least offer some more clarity for the Bruins in terms of got a lot of money to spend, but hell, if we don't have to spend on a guy like Noah Hannafin because we have a left shot D like Mason Lohrei in place, saves us more money. We can use that for a center. If we know that a guy like Fabian Lysell can step in and could be a 20-25 goal scorer on the wing and a middle six role moving forward, save money there as well, right? So
maybe don't fade really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's one of those things that beyond just this year, and you hope that for any of these teams, especially a team like the Bruins that are so cap crunched that some younger players step into larger roles. And, it's not even just looking at those guys. You can look at Lauko or anyone else, but you look at just what the Bruins need from guys like Lysell and Lohrei. It'd be fascinating to see just if they can make a push because, again, I don't think they're going to rush them, but I'm sure they'll be very happy if they are putting up really impressive numbers right out of the gate down in Providence.
Yeah, I think it would make a huge difference because, again, this prospect pool is not ranked high. It's not, particularly amazing one or anything like that. But if those two can hit at the NHL level and be legitimate players, that's pretty damn good. That's not too bad for what you got.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed.